Hello and welcome to the WCQ European Championships 2018 for Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course. I'm here with Matthew Bell on our analysis desk.
Hey, how you doing today, Luke?
I'm doing good. So we're here on a brand new feature of the live stream, the analysis desk, where just before the game we're going to break down a few statistics about the players and about the decks that are in the tournament currently.
So yeah, we got a lot of cool things to show you this weekend. We hope you guys enjoy it. We've also got joining us our two commentators, Tom Rose, a very own traveler from the Burning Abyss. He's joining Oliver Gurman for our play-by-play commentary. We got a lot of matches for you this weekend, 8 today, followed by the Top Cut tomorrow.
Yep.
It should be a really good tournament, and it'll be really interesting to see how the North American WCQ has impacted our event this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy right now. There's been such a blow-open of the format after the UK National Championships, where Thomas Rose took the whole thing with Burning Abyss, with Sekka's Light Burning Abyss.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. And this is the largest European Championship we've ever ran, with 1,623 players, I believe.
Yeah, the largest ever. So
and that's before late registration.
Yeah, exactly. So right now you guys can only see us, but we can see this whole sea of people who are just sat currently playing the first round. So let's get into the first match, and let's talk about the statistics of these players. So we have Marcello Barberi, who at the most recent tournament was playing Pendulum Magician at YCS Bochum. And he has an 81% win rate right
this
now.
season?
This season, yeah, over the course of 9 tournaments.
That's crazy. That's higher than his last year's win rate, but he's played slightly less tournaments this season compared to last year. I guess he's putting more stock into the WCQ this time. I mean, he was the only player ever to qualify for the World Championships twice.
Yeah, exactly.
But this time he's just going for the one-line qualification, as the Italian's point slot has been secured already.
Yeah, exactly. And it just happens to be that his first matchup, and I'm very much sorry that I'm going to butcher your name, it's Vassilis Stamatiadis, who is the Greek national champion.
Right, and he only played in the national championships, right?
Yeah, so during this season he's not played during any kind of regional qualifiers or anything. He only played during the national championships, and he won with a 90.9% win rate.
Yeah, it seems pretty standard if you're going all the way, going the distance in a tournament.
Yeah, so he drew once and lost once.
Even as a national champion, I'd be pretty worried coming into this matchup against the Italian juggernaut, as we've come to know and love him.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year we saw, the reason why he's here as the first feature match is that he went, I think it was 17 or 18-0.
17-0, and then he went and finished third at the World Championships, and he had a straight run to the finals. It was a very minor misplay that cost him, because chances are he would have won the finals if he'd have gone there and won the whole distance. Yeah,
exactly. So he's trying to go that same distance again to get all the way to the World Championships. So we're going to be able to witness the first step in that very long journey for Marcello Barberi. So right now we're going to head over to our commentary team, Oliver Gurman and Thomas Rose, for the first feature match.
Take it away, guys.
Good morning and welcome from us too, here from the commentator's desk. My name is Oliver Gurman. As these guys pointed out, this is Tom Rose, your most recent UK national champion. We're going to hear that a couple of times this weekend, especially when somebody's bringing up Burning Abyss, and every time the next name that you're going to hear on the stream is going to be Tom Rose. We know you guys have been waiting for this. We got 1,624 players, which makes this the largest European championship of all time. These two guys are ready. We're a little bit behind the main event. By that I mean 27 minutes. And with that, let's take you over to the feature match table where these two guys are ready to get their game on. All right, Thomas, you had a look at the deck list. We got Vassilis on the left, the Greek player.
Yes, he's playing the Trickstar Sky Striker deck. This very similar deck to the list that he saw success with at the Greek National Championships. And then on the other side, we have Marcello using a Gouki Knightmare deck. So he's got a lot of tech cards in there, a lot of the new things that we've been seeing coming out recently. Speedroid Teratop, despite its limitation, still a very strong engine for getting into your MX Saber Invoker. So he'll be using that and the Taka Tomborg. He has Neospatian Aquadolphin as well. We saw that emerging at the North American WCQ, where people were summoning Aquadolphin to check their opponent's hand for any hand traps. It takes out Ash Blossom, it takes out Droll and Lockbird before they start making their plays. And we also see Marauding Captain as well. So he's really going for a strong rank 3 engine to get into that MX Saber Invoker, obviously summoning the Super X and starting his Isolde combo from there.
So in case you guys are not familiar with our setup, on the left-hand side you see the cards in hand for Vassilis. On the right-hand side you see the cards in hand for Marcello. Vassilis is allowed to go first. I'm not 100% sure if he won the die roll.
Yeah, he certainly would have done. Both players here would choose to play first if they had won the die roll.
Right. So that's a very fair assumption. He kicks things off with a Trickstar light stage and terraforming, basically telegraphing to his opponent, this is what I'm playing this weekend.
Yeah,
and how happy is Marcello about this particular matchup? Is this what he wants to see?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marcello will be going into this tournament understanding that the most popular deck in Europe recently has been the Trickstar Sky Striker deck, so anyone that has done their homework will have built their deck to be able to beat the Trickstar Sky Striker deck reliably.
Right, and knowing Marcello, there's a very good chance that he's very familiar with the situation. It doesn't strike me as the strongest of openings from Vassilis.
No, it's not a hugely powerful start. Obviously, we saw there that there was the scapegoat being set, so if he is able to survive the turn, he has something to bounce back with. But I have a feeling the scapegoat might be needed to prevent lethal damage from Marcello here. Marcello's hand, very, very strong. He is admittedly playing through Ash Blossom, but I think we're going to see just how effectively the Gouki deck can play through that card. I
was about to bring that up. The Ash Blossom should also help a little bit, at least, to stay in the game. Well, let's look at the hand of Marcello. What do we say there? We do see the Neospatian Aquadolphin that you mentioned just a second ago. He also has an Ash Blossom, and it doesn't look like he's going to go super explosive here, is he?
Oh no, he has everything that he needs here. So Suprex with another Gouki gets you to Assault, and you'll instantly get 2 searches from the Gouki monsters, a 3rd search from the Assault, and at that point, even if one thing gets Ash Blossomed, you still have access to many other things, so it may not even be worth using the Ash Blossom there. It's more likely that we might see that on the effect of the Assault to summon Octostretch from the deck, but Marcello has access to his Divine Sword already. It doesn't matter if he loses a search, because he has the Gouki rematch set.
Mm-hmm.
All the pieces are aligned for
I
Marcello
was about
here.
to say, yeah, it seemed like he solved that Rubik's Cube already on his very first turn of the tournament.
Yeah, we see Marcello sets the Gouki rematch from his hand directly onto the board so that it can't be interrupted by a Trickstar Reincarnation. He'll still be a bit worried about the potential for losing his Phoenix Blade. It's a free discard for so many of his Knightmare effects, so you see that. He's chosen to set it because he knows that if he loses that card to being banished by a Reincarnation, he can be really stuck in this game.
So it's basically not the optimal play, but in this situation, it is the best play for him. Let's say if there's no opponent, if you're like goldfishing and you're not playing against anybody, it's best to just keep it in your hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But knowing that he plays against this particular deck, he says setting is so much better because I cannot afford to lose it.
Yes, this is a real sign of strength from Marcello's hand, that he's willing to set the Phoenix Blade. So he's making a lower power play to mitigate the chance that he will be interrupted at an inopportune moment by that Trickstar Reincarnation.
This is one of those things that makes all the difference. We heard it prior to the match that Marcello has, again, a win rate of 81%, something that he almost had last season, very similar to the one that he had the season before. That's why we call him the Italian Juggernaut. These little things, these tiny details that you sometimes might miss if you're just watching a match on twice the regular speed or something, this is what makes the difference. This is what can give him an edge.
Yeah, of course Marcello will still be able to get that Phoenix Blade back into play here, so he's just taken that slight loss to get that edge, play around Reincarnation, but he can flip up that Phoenix Blade whenever he chooses, equip it to one of his monsters, and then when it links away, it's in the grave, ready for him to pull back to his hand by using that graveyard effect whenever he needs it.
So you can certainly relate to the idea of being a national champion. With Vassilis coming into this tournament, we read that on the internet that he's a 2-time Greek national champion. A little bit upsetting that he didn't play all season, only to then win the national championship this season. But certainly he must feel like he's coming into the European Championship, and he's one of the guys that has a reasonable, really good chance to advance to day 2. And then you're sitting down in your round 1 feature match. You got the VIP package, which means you have one of the nicest seats at the very top of the field, and you're sitting down across Marcello Barberi. What's happening in your head? What is going on then?
there's no way that you can explain what happens to a person. You sit down at round 1 and you're hoping to get somebody that's maybe it's their first time at the WCQ, but I've only played against Marcello once myself, and I was very aware even then. Like, I didn't know many people in the competitive game, but I was very aware of who I was playing against.
Right.
It got me on edge, certainly.
We've seen that with players that sit down across somebody like Marcello, also Joshua Schmidt. And sometimes in the interview, they admit that they sometimes win a match only because the opponent is so scared of them that they make mistakes. So let's see. What can Vassilis do here? Like, he basically needs to watch the entire time and see this unfold, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Vassilis has much available to him here. We see Marcello there just going to his battle phase to take out the Licorice. I'm concerned that we've missed something here.
There was an Ash Blossom, because he only holds one in his hand now. And is it possible that Marcello just decided to then not go any further?
That's a possibility, but I was under the impression that Marcello had a set Gouki rematch on his field.
That is the case, yes.
I was expecting to see more of a play there.
Okay, so we're probably in the end phase right now, because the Scapegoat usually gets... we were in the end phase. Now we are in the draw phase of Vassilis, who just added the Sky Striker Mecha Hornet drones to his hand, and now it looks like he's in a really good position here.
Yeah, we see Vassilis will have access to a whole host of different link summoning plays here with the Scapegoat. Scapegoat, one of the most powerful cards that we see around right now, just as a single piece. But
I would say it's like the biggest comeback that a card has ever made. Because we haven't seen it in so long, and suddenly it's one of the staples, basically. You need to add it to every single deck.
Well, it's still a tough decision, because it's an incredibly slow card. If you lose your die roll and you have a Scapegoat in a hand, you have a card that will not impact the game until turn 4.
Right.
So obviously if you lose the die roll, hand traps are some of the strongest things to have, because they will make an impact immediately on the very first turn, even before you get to play yourself. But a Scapegoat, it's just going to sit there and do absolutely nothing for the longest time.
I think this is one of the surprising statements for somebody who hasn't been watching this game in a couple of years, because we used to go the distance, we used to have a couple of turns, but now it's so much more about speed and a lot less about card advantage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Scapegoat is one of those cards that takes the absolute sacrifice in terms of speed, just because a +3 is so much card advantage that you can afford that at times. If you have a deck that will support you through to getting to the stage where you do resolve it, the payoff is huge.
Right.
But sometimes you need a card that does something immediately, and Scapegoat will never be that card.
It's not that card, right. Okay, so Vassilis deciding on his summons here.
It was just pointed out that he couldn't put the Licorice into the endmost zone, because it will summon before the Candina is returned to hand, so it has to summon to a zone that is already free.
Is that something that happens very often?
It's an interaction that can often be overlooked, because players will just assume that the return to hand is a cost. Many similar effects may have a cost of returning a card to hand. We saw GeneX Ally Birdman a while ago, had a similar effect to Licorice, but resolved in a very different way. But of course, the way that Licorice is worded allows you to use 2 copies of Licorice on the same...
Wow, and let's not get ahead of ourselves, but look at the writing on the wall that Vassilis was painting here. Marcello immediately shuffling up here and feeling like this wasn't going anywhere, for him at least, and deciding to access his side deck instead of hanging in there any further.
Yeah, it's not the result I was expecting from those opening hands.
Yeah, like you said, he should have had everything he needed. So maybe something for our analysts on the panel over there. What was happening? What was going through his head that he didn't use the Gouki rematch?
Well, it's possible that after he had been hit with the Trickstar reincarnation, the cards that he drew, he knew that he wasn't going to be able to get to any full combo from there, and so he wasn't willing to commit any new resources to the board at that point.
Right. So he's like, okay, I can do things, but it's not going to get me far enough, so I have to just risk it and see if my opponent can finish me off in his turn, which is what happened. But
yes.
But sometimes it's more important to play to win rather than to play to not lose.
Yeah, so Marcello, he would have needed to be able to summon a Firewall Dragon with a Knightmare monster adjacent to it to be able to start his combos really flowing.
On our camera from the top down, we can see a couple of cards that they're switching between their main and side decks. And of course, we do have the deck list, so we can also check out the side decks here. With Marcello, we got Twin Twisters, Infinite Impermanence, Hatronade, Artifact Sanctum, Artifact Scythe, and Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit.
Okay, I don't think that we're likely to see the Sanctum and Scythe or the Ghost Ogres coming in here, but then we may see Twin Twister or Hatronade if he's thinking that he'll have to play through a lot of back row. Less likely, though, as he's going to be able to choose to play first in this match. I think Marcello may just shuffle up and keep his 40-card main deck that's already fairly well tuned for playing first.
Okay.
On the other side, Vassilis is siding Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries and the Assault. So a small change to his extra deck puts in that option to completely shut down the most powerful Link monster in Marcello's, well, the toolbox Link monster.
Right.
Perhaps Firewall is the most powerful, but Isolde is where things begin.
Well, there's a different cogs that are interfering in this gigantic machine. That is the Sky Striker Trickstar deck, and of course also the Gouki Knightmare deck. So, what are you making of Game 2? Do you think that Marcello is going to be able to tie the score here?
Well, I was under the impression that Gouki was already the favorite heading in, so certainly playing first, you'd have to favor him. But we do see a Droll and Lockbird in hand for Vassilis there, which can be the bane of an opening turn for a Gouki player.
Yeah.
Marcello will be hoping to see Called by the Grave in order to combat that.
We also see Marcello doesn't look very happy right now in the camera that is headed on his face. That might change in just a second with an instant fusion.
Yes, and he also has the Neospatian Aquadolphin that he'll be able to use to take out that Droll and Lockbird before he searches any card from his deck.
So if you're an Italian or, generally speaking, a fan of Marcello Barberi...
Oh no! There are two Droll and Lockbirds
God.
in hand for Vassilis. He'll only be able to take out one of them with his effect here.
This might be over real soon if Vassilis doesn't forget to use his cards. Wouldn't be surprised here. So Marcello now sees it, and we can see his tilting his head sideways. He's not happy. Gets rid of one of the Droll and Lockbirds. At least he knows that there's a second one waiting. I mean, that helps a little bit.
Yeah, there's some merit to that, but it's still not a good position for him to find himself in here.
Ooh, and we do have that open stage for the first time ever this weekend, so lots and lots of players are actually watching it live on the big screen, and they are just standing 10 meters away from the players in the feature match. And they might be witness to... Well, it would be an upset. I mean, I'm sorry for national champion, but as we pointed out, Marcello Barberi with one of the strongest records here.
Marcello's really not in a good place here. Not only is his turn going to be shut down by the Droll and Lockbird, but we also see Vassilis opening with Candina and Scapegoat, two of the most powerful cards in his deck that really access every piece of it.
Right. So... is there any way for Marcello to play around this? Is there a chance to try to throw your opponent a little bit off guard and then just get the search in before so he forgets to throw down the Droll and Lockbird or something like that? Very
Vassilis
unlikely.
has won his national championships. Yeah. He won't be forgetting to activate a Droll and Lockbird. But Marcello will take two searches here, one from the effect of his Suprex, one from the Assault. But he knows that he isn't going to be able to continue his turn.
Right, so here's the Marauding Captain.
Yes, he's taken the Marauding Captain, a starter for his next turn, knowing that the Droll and Lockbird will be coming down.
Yeah, there it is.
And he'll still use the effect of his Assault to special summon from the deck, just trying to put up a little bit of defense so that he'll at least be able to see his next turn, unless Vassilis draws something strong.
Ooh, that's not a very nice position. I don't want to swap chairs with Marcello Barberi right now. There are other situations where I would be happy, like when he's sitting in the finals. I'm like, yeah, even if I'm losing this, I'm in a good position now.
If you lose the final, you still go to Worlds.
Exactly, yeah. I would be okay with that. But right now, it's not looking all that promising for him.
We see Vassilis, I think, has drawn Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, so he has absolutely turned on the gas here.
It's just adding insult to injury here. Wow, look at him go. The Greek champion. We haven't seen him at that many YCS tournaments, at least not in the top cut from what I remember. Usually, Greek players only have positive things to say about them.
Well, Vassilis has obviously only played his national championships this year, so we won't have seen him on the circuit recently.
Not the last year, definitely not. So, what's the exact line of play for him here?
He'll likely be playing this engage to search for a Widow Anchor so that he has another piece of interaction for Marcello's turn. He's not going to be able to put out enough damage to end the game this turn, so he needs to start building a fort.
Right. So we do get to see yet another turn for Marcello, is what you're telegraphing here.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you mentioned it, Scapegoat. It might be a little bit slow, but it generates a lot of advantage. And at the moment, it seems like Vassilis is going to get to see that turn where that Scapegoat will have amassed all of that advantage for him. So interesting how the puzzle pieces are falling into place here.
Yeah, Vassilis still yet to use his normal summon, so we have Trickstar Candina in hand. He'll be able to get some more pieces together. Likely to be going to some link plays. He may try and use his Knightmare Unicorn to put the Octastretch back into the deck.
There we see the Ash Blossom.
Denies the search on Candina.
You don't sound like you agree.
It's a strong play, but moments ago I was saying that Vassilis might be using some strong link monsters to get rid of that Octastretch. No longer so likely here.
Right. So let's see if he has a plan B. It's one of those rules. If you come to a tournament like this one and you only have a plan A, you might as well just get packing and go on your way home. You need to have a couple of backup plans in store if you want to do well at this level of competition.
Yeah, we see Vassilis just using the effect of Shizuku there to edge out the attack point difference over that Isolde, take it off the field, at least forcing Marcello to summon the second copy rather than have the effects immediately. But Marcello with a lot of pieces in hand here, and only one Widow Anchor opposes him and resolving his full combo.
And no more hand traps. That might be good news for him, so at least he can play somewhat uninterrupted.
Yes.
Not completely uninterrupted, of course.
Vassilis, of course, here needs to clear his main monster zones before passing to Marcello in order to be even able to activate that Widow Anchor during Marcello's turn.
This is basically the key mechanic of the Sky Striker deck, in case you guys haven't seen it. But as we can see, it's pretty easy to clear your board if you have to.
Yes, sacrificing only the end phase effect of his Shizuku there.
Yeah, there were times when getting rid of your own monsters was really, really hard. Something like a Lava Golem was a really strong card. These days, it's like, yeah, just link it up and we're good.
And the link mechanic, I think, is really the strongest part that we saw the success from the Spiral archetype. Whilst Double Helix in itself was a very powerful card, for me, the strongest part for Master Rule 4 affecting the Spiral deck was being able to take your master plan off the field at a moment's notice to instantly activate those searches. Before Master Rule 4, we saw Spiral Metal Foes decks being played just because the Metal Foes enabled you to destroy your master plan on field, but now it's just as simple as pick a link monster and summon it.
Right, yeah. So Marcello, do we know what he drew for his turn? I think he already had the Rescorpio.
I don't know for certain. He certainly searched the Marauding Captain on last turn. I think it was one of the Gouki monsters that he drew for turn. Either the Rescorpio or the Twist Cobra that he summoned with his Marauding Captain.
Right. So Vassilis is somewhat forced to watch this. He does have the Widow Anchor on his field.
He has to choose one moment to interrupt this combo with his Widow Anchor. The key pieces that it typically targets for that would be either the Isolde immediately here, or he could wait for the Firewall Dragon if he thinks that the resolution of some kind of combo is inevitable and he wants to limit the final outcome.
So where exactly is Marcello going here? He does have a number of options, right?
Yeah. Isolde being able to search for a warrior, and the effect of his Twist Cobra just sent to the grave, getting him another one. He already has the Gouki rematch in hand. He has a lot of tools.
Right.
I believe that the Twist Cobra was just searched with Isolde there. So he won't be able to use rematch on the Twist Cobra that's already in his grave.
Yeah, and you guys, if you find it a little bit confusing, the cards that you see on the side are currently not 100% in sync with what we see in the hands / on the table. We're going to have that in a second again, but Tom can provide you, did provide you with a really good overview of what's happening here.
So Marcello summoning the Suprex and the Octastretch here, not able to summon Twist Cobra because, of course, the restriction on the effect of Isolde.
But again, we can see him shifting gears. He seems to be playing a little bit faster than before.
Yep, Marcello has his tools open here. He'll be able to get into his Knightmare Goblin. Also a Wind Monster, which would allow him to special summon the Taka Tomborg in his hand if he needs to just have an extra link piece on the field. He's used the effect of Headbat, discarding the Twist Cobra that he wasn't going to be able to summon. He's just putting out a lot of link fodder here to be able to start going into that Firewall combo and building the huge boards that we see with first turn extra links and the like. Obviously at this stage he can't extra link because the other extra monster zone is already occupied, but it's only a battle phase away from changing that.
Yeah, it's not going to stay that way. Let's just say that.
And of course, if he is able to perform that extra link, the Scapegoat set to Vassilis' Spell and Trap card zone won't be doing anything worthwhile.
Yeah. Right, so now we're getting up to speed again with the app. So now you guys can see what's happening on the field right now. Cards in hand for Vassilis is of course correct. He doesn't have anything in hand. Cards on the table is not quite correct. 2 cards there, 1 Scapegoat, 1...
Knightmare Unicorn.
Thank you. Which is not going to hang around, as we said.
No, I expect we'll see some big combos. The combos I was anticipating previously for Marcello here. Marcello, of course, doesn't know what set card he's currently dealing with, so he may still be considering his plays, trying to work in a way that won't lose to another Trickstar reincarnation, but from our side, we know that that card is doing nothing other than potentially blocking some damage, really.
Yeah.
So here we see the Firewall coming out into the main monster zone adjacent to his Knightmare Goblin.
Right.
And this is where things really start going nuts.
Yeah, how hard is it? Like, Gouki, it's one of those decks, if you're playing this for 10 rounds, this weekend we're going to play 11 rounds before we go to the top cut. 8 today, 3 more tomorrow. How hard is it to keep your focus throughout those 11 rounds for Swiss and making sure that you're getting the most out of the deck?
A player like Marcello will have practiced his combos time in, time out. He knows exactly what to do and when to do it. So if you know what you're doing, it should just be like solving a Rubik's Cube. It looks impossible to someone that doesn't know the algorithms, but if you've learned it, it's just repeating what you know already.
Right. And if possible, as fast as possible. Which is also another thing to keep to take note of in this tournament, of course. With the new timeout procedure, players need to be fast. Or they need to be able to deal some damage early on and then sit tight. That's another viable strategy.
Yeah, obviously at this point, 16 minutes left on the clock. That shouldn't be much of an issue. I don't expect Marcello to take too long resolving his combo, so we'll still be... I anticipate we'll be going into a Game 3 fairly soon.
Right.
There's some discussion as to which effects are being used, I think, here.
And speaking of a Game 3, do you think that we're going to see Vassilis shuffling up earlier? Is he going to see what's coming? Is he going to be like, okay, I cannot turn this around? Or do you think he's going to wait for as long as possible to see what's coming?
Vassilis is in a position where he may not feel like he wants to go to Game 3 with a lot of time left on the clock. We know that Trickstar has a lot of incidental burn effects that happen naturally throughout the course of the game. He may feel like he's at an advantage if he goes into a Game 3 without much time left.
I see.
He knows that Marcello's combos will take a long time to perform, so if he can go first and set up with a Candina or a Licorice and inflict some burn damage that way, Marcello might only have seconds or minutes to perform a combo to break through and deal some damage back.
That's a very good and important point. It reminds me of one of the quick questions we asked yesterday, where I asked one of the players about his deck choice. It was Max Fröbel, and he said he's playing Sky Striker without Trickstar because he wants to have to put in some work to win in the timeout. And I was like, that's very sportsmanlike of you. I'm not saying it's the most successful plan, but I like the approach, to be honest. All right. Link Monster after Link Monster is entering play here for Marcello Barberi.
We see an awful lot of attack points on the field. I think that's 4,500 plus 13 and 300. Yeah, we see the scapegoat being forced there.
This is one of those signs when you see that the scapegoat is quotation marks coming out early rather than the end phase. You know that somebody's in trouble.
Vassilis there forced to use his scapegoat because Knightmare Corruptor Ibli arriving on his side of the field would prevent the activation. He of course would only be able to special summon by link summoning. No activation of scapegoat. So he responds to the activation of Ibli in the grave, getting those tokens out to try and keep himself in this game.
But good presence of mind. We have to give him credit where credit is due, because as we said before, under those big lights and with currently I would say 300 people watching the game, it's like all their stares are directed at you. I would understand if somebody like cracks under that pressure.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to be playing, particularly not in a round like this where the main event was so far ahead and now everyone in the tournament center, all eyes are on this table.
Yeah, our Belgium tournament organizers, they would appreciate the shout out. Because their company is called Tournament Center, in case you weren't. Right. Okay, so this is it. Marcello Barberi clearing the board, wiping it for Vassilis Stamatiadis.
Vassilis here, his life points aren't going to hit 0, but he's going to be top decking into a huge board.
And this is what we call the destiny draw here. Oh, is it even helping now? Like, what can you draw?
There's not a lot that we'll get out of here.
Yeah, that's good and all, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marcello very soon is going to say, hey, what are you doing? Where are you trying to go here? This game is over. Yeah, and it is. My prediction came true. I still might have a career as a fortune teller, at least when it comes to the fortune of Marcello Barberi, who is now tying the games. It's 1-1 between those two, the national champion versus the European champion.
Yes, with only 12 minutes left to play as well.
And again, it is fair to assume that Vassilis wants to go first.
Yes, which may mean that we see some changes being made by Marcello here. We have the interruptions for all of those set back row in Twin Twisters, in Twin Twisters and Hate Runade. He may choose to bring those in. Vassilis likely to keep Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, as we saw him siding in for Game 2. Oh no! It appears that he's choosing to take them out here.
Yeah, we actually see that from our bird's eye perspective. We have a second camera where we can see a little bit more what's happening. He's moved Scapegoat to the front. I don't think he's considering taking them out, of course, but
he has shared rides that he wants to be putting in here.
Is he maybe does he want to go second? No.
No,
definitely
shared
not,
ride will only work if you're playing first.
Yeah,
it needs to be set to activate in your opponent's turn. So Vassilis definitely will be playing first, but he may think that it's not worth playing the Ghost Reapers for the Game 3, particularly because it requires that you control fewer monsters than your opponent. If he thinks that there's a chance he'll end with multiple things on board, the Ghost Reaper wouldn't work, but I'm still not sure about that decision myself. I think just being able to take out that Isolde and prevent easy access to the combo, I would still value that very highly.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and this is one of those things. These are the mind games. We see that with players that don't have as much experience as somebody like a Marcello Barberi or a national champion like Vassilis Stamatiadis. They practice a lot for the tournaments, but what they practice is playing with their main deck without siding in or out any cards. And in a tournament environment like this one, more than 50% of the time you're going to be playing with a different 40 or up to 60 cards in your main deck at the start of the duel than you would originally write down in your deck list, of course.
Yeah, I think one of the main shortfallings of those players, even if they do practice with games including the side deck, people often don't know exactly how they are going to side deck. They don't have that strategy pre-planned before the tournament begins. They make it up as they go along. So
we see Shared Ride, Scapegoat.
And another copy of Shared Ride, I believe.
For Vassilis. And but not a very explosive start.
No, he has no monsters to summon. He's left with 2 hand traps. If he can survive the turn, he may be in a good position to bounce back on that Scapegoat, but he needs to prevent Marcello from going off with what seems like quite a strong opening hand here.
So yeah, there's not going to be well, actually the shared ride might be a response at some point, but that is pretty much it, right?
So he has both shared ride and a ghost Drollen Lockbird in his hand.
Right.
So he'll be choosing which one of those he wants to activate likely here. Drollen Lockbird preventative and shared ride just amassing him cards to fight back with.
Yeah. And since he does have the scapegoat, it's very likely that he gets to see another turn. So he might be going for the shared ride strategy here? Or
It's possible that he'll go for a mixed approach, initially using the shared ride to take some cards back from the first Isolde summon,
right.
but then follow that up with the Drollen Lockbird after those draws have all resolved to prevent any further plays being made.
And MX Saber Invoker, we haven't seen that in a while. Coming to think of it, we haven't seen Exceed monsters in general in a while. Very often things are kicking off with Link monsters instead.
Yeah, Invoker obviously really important card with Zodiacs, but since we lost Broad Bull and Dryden, kind of faded into the background.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It saw a little bit of play also in the 60 card decks where it would summon the 1000 Blades, but again, another ban list, another loss with That Grass Looks Greener, and suddenly the card is not on everyone's minds anymore.
Right. So here we see the activation of Shared Ride for Vassilis.
Yes, we will have had Chainlink 1 and 2 from Marcello, activating 2 searches, Chainlink 3 Shared Ride, so Marcello will take his 2 searches, Vassilis will take his 2 draws, and then I expect to see the Drollen Lockbird coming down afterwards.
That seems like the opening that wasn't that explosive for Vassilis has turned into quite something. A nice setup for his following turns. There we see exactly what you telegraphed. This mixed approach of...
Has Vassilis drawn his cards yet?
Yeah, he did, but we don't see them on the app right at the moment. So we can only guess what he drew into.
I didn't see him draw any.
Right, he's only got one more card in hand.
Because he had the Cyframe Gear Gamma in hand from turn 1.
Is it... I think... Did Marcello use his hand trap in response? No.
Oh, was there an Ash Blossom?
There was an Ash Blossom.
Okay.
Yes, so that is what happened.
But Vassilis opted not to use a second copy of Shared Ride. Is it a limit of 1 activation per turn? That seems likely.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that should come with that.
Yes, there's definitely Ash Blossom in Marcello's graveyard, so Vassilis will take no draws. But the Drollen Lockbird is still resolved, so there will at least be no searching for the rest of this turn.
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to keep track of all of those interactions. We were just debating among ourselves what is the best strategy for Vassilis, but completely leaving out what Marcello could do to stop that. And of course the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, one of those situations where on your own turn it's putting in the work for you.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of work.
In a similar way to what we saw before with Ash Blossom being used to combat Max C, another card lost through the years to the ban list. We see most powerful resolutions of cards being to ensure that your plays resolve rather than preventing your opponent.
There's going to be a memory board at the end of the tournament where we see all the cards that you mentioned that we lost through over the course of the years. It's like in memoriam. Oh, here we go. Here we have the cards now, guys. All of them. All the cards. So, Vassilis, did he draw into the Psy-Frame Gear Gamma?
The Psy-Frame Gear Gamma was in his opening hand.
Right,
it was one of the 2 monsters he was not able to summon.
Oh,
on
yeah,
his
you
first
mentioned
turn.
that. Yes, yes.
Marcello sniping the second copy of Shared Ride from Vassilis, leaving only the Scapegoat set, and that could really turn the tide here if he's not able to take it out.
Ooh, that must hurt. At first, you might feel like this is a good hit.
Yeah, I think Marcello may well have been hoping to hit the Scapegoat there, knowing that if he can take it out, Vassilis has made no impact on the board turn 1. Perhaps he knows that Scapegoat is the only easy way in, short of a top deck, Candina, Light Stage, or Terraforming.
Right. So, a Monster Reborn, and bringing back Octostretch.
But we know that there will be no further searches, even with the Octostretch being summoned. Is that a discard for the Headbat? Okay, so the Headbat is summoned there. He will be able to summon the Firewall Dragon next. Oh no, he's opting to go for a Link 3, possibly for the Unicorn. to force out the scapegoat early.
But that's a nice play. That's absolutely, it seems to me like the correct play, but then now the Gamma is coming down. Ooh. This is turning out so well for both of these players. Like all the cards where we were not 100% sure.
This isn't ideal for Vassilis. By activating the effect of Cyframe Gear Gamma, he cannot activate Scapegoat this turn.
Right.
Obviously, you need to have summoned no other monsters the turn that you activate it. He's back on only his top deck to fight back into this board now.
This is such a roller coaster ride of going back and forth. It seems like it's a good decision for him to pop the Gamma. It certainly didn't look like the worst thing that could happen for him. And at the same time, as you pointed out, that is now putting him in a position where he cannot use Scapegoat again. Ooh, Marcello doesn't know all of these interactions because he doesn't know that there's a Scapegoat face down.
I think Marcello will expect to be facing off against the Scapegoat. There are a few other things that would have been saved this long. So Widow Anchor may have been used to negate effects. Something like Reincarnation could have interrupted the hand earlier in the turn.
Right.
So one of the very few sets that's left for Vassilis at this point is the Scapegoat, and that will be the one that's at the forefront of Marcello's mind, particularly because it has, as we've been saying, such a huge impact on the game.
So basically, if you want to win one of these tournaments, you have to do a lot of worst-case scenarios in your head.
We may see another Phoenix. No, he's opted for the Cerberus. I thought Marcello may have gone for another Phoenix there in the hope to take out the back row. He'll discard to destroy the Gamma just to push a bit of damage. He can't draw, of course, for the Cerberus effect because we're still under Droll and Lockbird.
Yeah. But looking at the deck list, he's also only playing one copy of the Phoenix.
Okay, so yeah, he couldn't go back for that same option again. Vassilis stuck, unable to activate his Scapegoat, draws one card. I don't think we saw exactly what it was, but it has no impact, so he's just passing turn.
He's checking his graveyard. Maybe he's bluffing a Monster Reborn. But it doesn't look like he's got anything. We might see it on the app very soon. There we go. It's a Licorice.
Marcello drawing Twin Twisters, using the effect of Phoenix Blade to get it back to the hand. He may well activate the Twin Twisters immediately to force the Scapegoat, enabling him to attack over 2 tokens before he ends his turn.
Right. No? Oh, yes.
So the Scapegoat is played even without the Twin Twisters forcing its activation. Vassilis fears for his life points. He knows that there's not much time left on the round, and Marcello will be able to set that Twin Twisters to have a piece of interaction for Vassilis' turn in case there's a draw like a Terraforming or a Light Stage.
Did he just pass without? No, he's still on it.
He's considering his extra deck, whether he wants to swap in his 2 Knightmare monsters perhaps for something different, but the effect of Knightmare Mermaid is actually very strong when we get to a time situation like this. It prevents damage being pushed.
The other thing that I spotted, you can tell a complete shift in the body language of Marcello Barberi. It seems like he's a lot more relaxed right now than he was at the start of the second duel. Yeah,
the game state has been hugely simplified. He's not worried about resolving combos at this point. It's just about finding the damage.
Yep.
You see a Link 3 coming out here.
And Trickstar Reincarnation is the top deck for the turn for Vassilis.
Okay, so with a Knightmare Unicorn, he can discard that Reincarnation. Typically, we see trap cards only having an impact on the following turn, but Reincarnation in combination with the Knightmare monsters can be discarded, and then you can use the effect immediately in graveyard to bring back a monster. So Vassilis will be hitting back for some damage here.
Yeah, pretty nice combo here. Not what we see very often with that card, but of course, as you pointed out, nice little combo going here.
Yeah, so that will be 1,200 damage from the Unicorn, and then potentially some further damage if he activates the effect of Reincarnation in the battle phase.
Right, and we wouldn't be surprised to see that.
No, not at all.
There we go.
That Licorice being summoned to the field spell zone. I think one of the judges is probably going to catch that.
No, I think we should have used that opportunity to announce that we are not surprised when it came back. So here it goes for some damage.
Licorice activating again in the field spell on the draw to inflict some more damage.
Oof.
And Marcello has nothing.
Yeah, because he knows time is ticking out. Maybe time was running out just now, and our counter up there was a little bit off. So
perhaps
that means
he should have used the Twin Twisters to destroy the field spell Licorice.
That would have been an option, yeah. Oh my. So many things coming together for those two. It seemed like in the end, Marcello took it like a man. He was like, yeah, that's how the game goes. This is what can happen. I think there's plenty to talk about in this match with so many interesting plays from both of these players. I'm going to be interested to hear from our analysts desk. So let's kick it over to those guys and see what Luke and Matt can make of our round 1 feature match.
Thank you very much, Ollie and Thomas. What an amazing feature match to start with.
Wow, that's quite the upset to begin with, right?
Yeah, wow. I cannot believe that we see the Juggernaut going down in round 1.
Yeah, that was. It came down to the wire, and ultimately we got to time, and then that's just where there was enough damage from.
Vassilis.
Vassilis. Vassilis just had enough to get there with the reincarnation unicorn trick. It was enough to just push him over the life point threshold that Marcello was never going to be able to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, the first game, it looked.
Game 1 was over relatively quickly.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad for Marcello.
Vassilis, he starts with a Lycris in a set, and then Marcello starts to put off some combos, but he holds back. He's pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Vassilis just flips up his scapegoat for 4, resolves it. Marcello scoops before he takes a second turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Game 2.
Conscious for Marcello about the time factor of his deck versus Trickstar's, I think. So
yeah,
he knew that he needed to get on with the game.
Yeah, it's like a big Gouki combo takes time, and he ultimately needed every second of it, even going into that third game, and he still didn't have enough to win. We come to game 2. Marcello starts. He has the Neospatian Aqua Dolphin, which is incredible to see that card picking up steam.
Yeah.
Goes ahead and takes a look at his opponent's opening hand. 2 draw on Lockbirds. And everything he needs to start. There's a Scapegoat, there's the Cantina, there's the Hornet Drones, and it's like Marcello, you see visibly like, oh wow, okay, this is just perfect counter in my cards.
Yeah. Even with the Aqua Dolphin being able to, be that kind of initial counter, still unable to play around 2 hand traps.
Yeah, so Marcello drags it out a little bit, and he eventually gets to his Trigate, and he clears out the Scapegoats. Then Vassilis, he draws, and he's like, okay, I'm going to try off my Candina trick. Caught by the Grape being played at closing that game out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was that weird kind of interaction where Ibley was going to stop the summon of the Scapegoat, so he needed to get the Scapegoats out sooner rather than later, so there was no real comeback potential there. It was all on the top deck on that turn.
That was actually in game 3.
Oh, okay.
Where we had the do I Scapegoat or do I Gamma? And I guess you guys back home can argue whether or not the Gamma was the correct play in that situation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he has walked away taking a win off of Marcello Barberi in round 1 of the WCQ. So
he is a national champion, though, so not something to take away from Marcello too much.
Yeah, no, it's like these are all very strong players. Everybody who's come to the WCQ has had to put a lot of effort in to get here.
Yeah,
You're expecting to be playing against the best. Like, even if you sit across somebody you've never seen before, they put the work to get here. You should assume that they've got some reasonably strong understanding of the game mechanics, the format, and what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
To underestimate anybody here is just folly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you say, it's it's the one big invite-only event that we have during the year, and if you're going to underestimate people here, then that's just foolish.
That's on you, really.
Yeah, that's up to you.
So this guy I've never heard of, he's just extra linked me. I was expecting him to do his combo wrong.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to play meta. Like, those kinds of arguments, if you're going to make them here, it just shows that you weren't prepared enough for this event.
Yeah.
So, if you see somebody at your WCQ, just give them the charity of respect that they probably know what they're doing, and you shouldn't be holding back.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said about there is rogue decks out there, and if you're not prepared for that, then that's on you.
Yeah, well, honestly, there are going to be everybody's going to be looking for the sweetest bit of tech or the next thing that's going to swing the format. Yeah. There's lots of people that have a lot of free time. I do this full time, and I still think some of the players manage to put in more time than me in looking for these things. So it's not a surprise when you see something like the Burning Abyss Sekka, Dante's Cat deck that, for example, Tom won with.
Yeah.
Like, if that can be found at the 11th hour before the WCQ, what else is out there?
Yeah,
I mean,
could be anything.
This one was just a meta. This one was mostly what we were expecting, but maybe we see something a little bit more exciting throughout the event. But that's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That it could be there, and if you're not prepared.
Yeah, that's on you. What was amazing, we were sat just behind the stage there watching this great matchup unfold. All of the other matches had been completed because we started a little late due to the brand new stage we got going on, and everybody was completely captivated watching these two guys duke it out. It was really quite something to see.
Yeah, and I imagine that crowd is going to get bigger and bigger as the tournament progresses and people start dropping out and they're waiting between public events. And
yeah, absolutely. We need more chairs at this point.
Only 2 people can qualify for that trip to Tokyo this year, this tournament. So it'd be interesting to see if it's just somebody we know, somebody we've never met before.
Yeah, exactly. And with that in mind, we're looking like we're going to start the second round here. So we're going to go away. We're going to find another amazing feature match for you guys to watch. Stick around.